God, I like really jammed my finger. I was trying to, oh, it's not even gonna focus in on my finger, is it? Let me do that. Come on. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't need to see it because I really hurt my finger. I had this plugged in, or what is that, a battery? Yeah. I had the battery plugged in and I sliced my finger on this stupid desk. Okay. Hello everybody, thank you for tuning into ChannelBK. My name is Brian. Welcome to another classic album review in 2022. This one is for the debut studio album released on October 10th, 1969 of King Crimson, In the Court of the Crimson King. King Crimson is a acclaimed prog rock group, and I'll be honest, this is a review that I feel like is going to go under, not underappreciated, but just kind of overlooked, mainly because there's been so many reviews of this album. Honestly, if you are looking for a good history lesson on the record, or maybe even a deep dive into other little things here or there, excuse me, I would say check out, obviously, the usual Melonhead, or honestly, Vinyl Rewind has a great review of this record, especially history-wise of the record. I'm not going to really be going into, I'll probably have certain notes I want to make here and there, but I just want to talk about how great this record is and sort of go into all the aspects of it. Because I just think it's a fabulous record. I think it's a record everyone should be listening to, should listen to, and I think it definitely is a underrated album, an overlooked album, and that is kind of where I'm going to stay on that, but we're going to get into the record. So I do want to start with this, because I know people, this isn't a bad thing that people bring up, but I know this is a point that some people make when they get introduced to this record, because like probably a lot of you or a lot of people, the first instance of me hearing about King Crimson or this record was through Kanye West, through Power, 21st Century Schizoid Man. It was a song that, just from the sample alone, I was just like, what is this? It was crazy, it was insane. And obviously the original song is crazy and insane, but it made me want to go listen to this record. And now obviously this album artwork is super iconic as well. So there's just a lot about this record that I was fascinated by, because it seemed like a more modern release from a lot of the stuff that was going on with it. And the history of the group is fascinating, and this being their debut is incredible. And for a record that came out in 1969, amongst other records that were out at the time, this record is so revolutionary. This is so defining. I actually just got done talking with my good friend Joshua Kirk about us kind of discussing some of the newer age groups that take influence from this record, or just King Crimson in general, especially a group like Black Midi. And you can hear a lot of that in this record, and obviously in their records as well, with a lot of the improvisation and sort of the jazz and the big rock elements. And this record is very fascinating, mainly because it is only 5 pieces of music. It is, I guess, it's not necessarily movements like a classical song or even like drone music like a Godspeed song. It's these 5 big pieces that have different pieces within them, which is obvious on the very first song on here, 21st Century Schizoid Man, which, goddamn, this song, the mixing of this, the sound of this song is incredible. Still, this song is bananas. The revving, just the horns and the boom, 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 and then just the slow down on the hook, the down, 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 21st Century Schizoid Man. It is so incredible. I love the lyrics on here. They're very minimal, but it's obviously, when this record came out, it was during the Vietnam War, and there's some really dark, fascinating lyrics about the Vietnam War and obviously greed and politics. And this obviously goes to the point that I was making, where every song on here has different stuff about it. And in the middle of this track, we get this Mirrors song, which is this like random jazz interlude that just suddenly is like do 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 do, and it's incredible, and it just throws you off. And then we get back to the normal song at the end that goes to what we know of it. It's incredible. Which then we follow up with I Talk to the Wind, which slows things down. It's dreamier. I love the flutes on here. It's fantastic. And just the vocals on here are also very incredible, and the lyrics as well. Very religious. Obviously, I Talk to the Wind, it kind of has this metaphor of talking to God and just our place on this planet. The thing that makes this song fascinating is this song was a Giles and Fripp song, which was the group prior to King Crimson, and they sort of took it because they were saying how they wanted a song that was a little bit slower and a little bit more emotional to show that side of the group, which obviously kind of goes straight away with Epitaph following it up, which feels like a song that's in like a post-apocalyptic movie. Just the builds on here, and it's just somber and eerie, and then especially when it gets to the epitaph chorus of my epitaph, boom, it's like over the top with how epic it is, but again, I think it's really well put together and well mixed. We get to, I believe, the longest song on here, which is Moonchild, which is a very minimal track for the first couple minutes with the lyrics and the vocals, and then it becomes like an 8-minute improvisational track, like with percussion and other instruments. And to be honest, it's one of those songs where you need to have patience with it, because I still think it is a really good track, and it's definitely not what the previous 3 tracks were. You know, there's improvisation and like jazz stuff on the opening, but this song kind of just has all these little things going all over it, and it sort of sucks you in a way, and it definitely feels like the oddest track on this album in terms of the way it's composed and whatnot, especially that it's the longest song on here. But I don't know, if I had to pick a song on here that maybe is not the one I listen to all the time, it's probably this one, because it definitely fits differently amongst the rest of the songs on here and other things, versus it being kind of its own song. But it's okay, because then the following track just ends the album in such a great, fantastic way. The Court of the Crimson King, when this song comes in, it's like you feel like you are walking into this grand castle, just looking up at everything, and it's like, and it's so psychedelic. And again, like with this group and this album being like kind of this huge progressive rock album, there's all these really interesting psychedelic elements on here that are laced throughout the album, especially this song. And I also like how it takes breaks every once in a while, especially about halfway through. There's a really great flute solo, and then near sort of the end, there's like kind of this childlike little instrumental like break off before it ends again. But again, it's just this big building track, and again, it goes back to what the first track and the third track did, where something like I Talk to the Wind and Moonchild are kind of the two that, you know, we start here and then we go down, and then we kind of get slow in Epitaph, but it still builds to this, and then Moonchild's calm, and then we get in the Court of the Crimson King, or the Court of the Crimson King, excuse me, and it's just a fantastic way to end this album. It's an album that is so influential. It's surprising to me that this is an album that, I mean, probably now it's more talked about because of the internet and of people talking about it, and it is such a great, fantastic record, and there's a lot of things about this that you can see in a lot of groups now. There's so much to this record that I wasn't expecting going into. I just thought, like, because there are some heavy stuff on here, like the sounds on here. I know in Vinyl Rewinds, it was either him or Anthony that brought up how this sounds like kind of this intro metal sounding track. And I can see that. It goes back to what I said about Nirvana's In Utero. It's just fascinating to me, something that sounded that hardcore, and it still sounds hardcore, being so popular. Now, obviously, this record wasn't, but it's still just so fascinating that this album came out when it did, and it is a product of the time, but it is so not. It's revolutionary, it's forward-thinking, and it's a fantastic record. Again, I knew I wanted to do this classic review, not because, you know, I had anything so different or poetic to say. It's just a record that I think is fantastic, and I don't think there's anything on this album that's compromised by anything. Like, yes, it is a big album, and there's a lot of great stuff to it, but even vocally, it's very well done, and the lyrics on here, even if they are minimal or if they're not, they're emotional and they're well written. And again, it's just such a bizarre album that came out at the time, and it is frustrating that it's not a record that is not looked at as one of the greatest albums of all time, because it certainly is. It certainly is. But honestly, I don't want to keep rambling on about this record or anything about it, because I want to keep this review as simple as I can, because again, I definitely feel like there are other reviews that cover certain things better than I can, but I also thought I just want to kind of give you my straight up opinions on it. So if you're one of the people that has listened to the record, what do you think about it? Leave it in the comments below. Please like if you liked it, please subscribe, and please listen to the record if you haven't listened to it. It's short, it doesn't have that many songs, and it's an album that kind of, there's certain moments where you need to be patient with it and let it just kind of soak in you all that it's doing, but it's worth it. It's fantastic. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed this so much. More classic reviews are coming this whole year, as well as other videos. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you for tuning into ChannelBK. Peace out, everybody. I think that's what I did last time. I don't know. See ya.